Are you tired of your favorite movies getting pushed back again and again and again and being stuck inside and not being able to do anything or go see anything fun? Check out Comixology.com. Read all the stories that all of these movies are based on and get in the know. Comixology.com. Sign up for a free Comixology Unlimited trial and you can read everything. You can read The Boys. You can read Lock and Key. You can read Batman. You can read whatever you want. Visit infamouspodcast.com/Comixology to sign up today. Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this is episode 271. In the house. In the studio. In the Nerd Den studio.
I was about to say, literally in the house.
Yeah. Darryl. I'm looking at Darryl today instead of listening to the dulcet tones of his voice through the Zoom call.
Yeah, I don't have to flex the golden pipes. You can actually see me.
Yeah. Honestly, it makes me sad.
Why?
Just because you're so much more handsome than me. So, you know.
Brown chocolate here.
Never mind. I was going to say something awful, but I'm not going to. Anywho.
The world's not ready for your awful.
Dude, the world here is like... So, like, sometimes my awful slips out.
Like today?
No, I didn't. I filtered.
No, today when we were on the
phone.
Oh,
that one, yeah. So, you deserve that. You 100% deserve that. So, don't front, as they say.
There is nothing wrong with enjoying To All the Boys. Netflix.
Yeah. I guess not.
I said it. Yeah.
I guess not. Yeah. You fangirled out over the third one?
Yeah. I was like, the trailer came out.
Did that? Oh, the trailer. Okay. I didn't know if it like hit the streaming service or not, but.
Yeah. I think it's March. I don't know.
No. I don't know. I saw they did the big like sizzle reel with Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Gadot. She said Gadot.
She said Gadot.
So, and Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne Shithead. So, I've lost, like, I have zero fandom left for The Rock.
There's something that, I used to love him, and it's, like, now watching, it just seems, a lot of it seems fake.
He's so disingenuous.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing about him that I think is authentic. Now, here's the thing. I hated him as a wrestler. I hated him.
I love. Yeah.
He can't wrestle. He's the Samoan lineage Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
he's got 4 moves.
True.
His big, quote unquote, big move is the people's elbow, which is just the leg drop, but with your elbow. Like it literally does nothing.
At least he had the rock bottom though.
Yeah, but like that was the setup move. The rock bottom was never the finisher.
So yeah.
But like honestly, like it was really hard. Like as someone who like loves wrestling, especially like Matt, like the technical wrestling skill and the high flying. When it's those like kind of mid-size like heavyweights like The Rock, that all they do is kind of like a lot of throwing them into the ropes in the clothesline, right? That's kind of his speed. Like JBL, The Rock, I'm trying to think of a few others, like Kane. Like I kind of like Kane's a monster, but like I kind of put them all like they do. Like I don't like the Undertaker either, but like I totally respect the fact that the Undertaker wrestled
and he could walk on the ropes.
Well, no, it wasn't just the fact that he did old school, but he dove over the top out of the ring. Like he went off the top. He could do stuff that like Rey Mysterio does,
right,
and make it look cool. But like give me. Like Finn Balor, give me Johnny Gargano, give me AJ Styles, like give me Edge, those guys any day of the week. Matt Hardy, like even with his tiny little footsteps, like Matt Hardy is awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like WWE is just so bad right now.
Oh right,
it's just
I can't watch it.
Yeah, I stopped. I watch AEW. That's it.
I'm gonna have to watch. I have that on my DVR.
Yeah,
AEW.
AEW is so much fun. So, especially when you get like Jericho on commentary or stuff like that. But Darby Allin, who is sorry guys, we're going into a weird little rabbit hole here. Darby Allin, who is the TNA champion or TNT champion, is amazing. He's made, if he's over 5'9", I'd be shocked, right? And if he weighs more than 165 pounds, I would be shocked. But dude can go, and he like sells like it's like he sells. So like Dolph Ziggler sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Darby Allin sells, and he's just really fun to watch. He's got like half the face painted. He comes down on a skateboard. They paired him up with Sting since Sting is back, which I think actually really, really works. So, but speaking of old men who are coming back,
I know.
So Captain MCU is rumored to be returning to the to a Cineplex near you.
Yeah. So
Or maybe a streaming service near you, most likely.
probably a streaming service.
So, yeah. So you sent this to me or told me about this. I was kind of like, okay. But I guess Captain America eyes return to the MCU as Chris Evans nears a deal to reprise his role in future Marvel. It just says in future Marvel project.
Right.
On Deadline. So is it like a one-off? Like, is it going to show up in one of these multiverse things?
Yeah, and see, they're making a big deal out of it when we don't know if is he going to be even, when they're doing secret invasion.
Yeah, maybe as a scroll or something.
That was one of the things I mentioned.
How funny would that be to see Cap, like young Cap, walking down the street in 2028 or whatever timeline they're in, and they're like, they just do the double take and like, and Sam is like, fake news.
So, to me, unless it's I don't think this is big news unless it's a major role that he's doing in either a movie or a major part of a connector to a TV show.
Yeah.
So
I know we're going to talk about WandaVision. I think it's tied to WandaVision.
I do think it's more about the streaming than anything else.
Maybe it's Loki. Because he has the righteous indignation.
One of my favorite scenes in Thor: The Dark World.
I feel the righteousness. I just feel it. Yeah, so I don't know. Honestly, I'm okay if they just retire this character altogether and say no more Cap.
Yeah.
Like Wanda can say no more Captain America and wipe out all the Captain Americas and all the multiverses.
So, I'm a huge Cap fanboy.
I know
He's my favorite MCU character.
You stand for Cap.
Yeah. The thing is, I loved how they ended his story.
He got a happy ending.
I love that. And I think they just need to move on. Again, don't get me wrong. If we get more information of where he is and how they're going to use him, that might change my opinion. But right now, it's okay. It's kind of like a shoulder shrug.
Yeah, unless they bring him back as like the Nazi Cap from the Secret Wars 2 or whatever it was from the comic book series, the comic book event series,
or where it was with Hydra.
Yeah,
is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, he was
Hydra Cap.
Yeah, maybe that's the Cap he created when he told what's his name, Hail Hydra, in the elevator. They all went and got that Cap and like, oh, you're in.
And he's like, yeah.
Here's your Hydra ring. Here's your Hydra shield. Here's your green uniform.
Here's your parking pass.
Go kill some go kill some bitches. But yeah, because there's talk that RDJ might return.
Again,
let's let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah. and unless with RDJ, I think they could work it where they brought him in the Ironheart series.
He's the AI.
Yeah, as the AI.
So I really hope that doesn't happen too, but I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't know. I think, to kind of quote Padme, where the MCU is going, I don't think we can follow.
I don't like some of the stuff we've heard.
Yeah.
However, I do like what looks like we're going to be getting on the streaming service.
Yeah.
So, but the movie wise,
yeah, like that Black Widow movie just looks like hot garbage. So, of course, you notice
all right, I'm going.
The movie is her just falling from the sky in the preview. That's all they do. I wonder if they'll show her like just like kind of laying on the ground like, oh God, I still got 2 more movies to go before this really happens.
This guy.
But no, I'm really okay if they don't bring Chris Evans back.
Yeah.
So like, let's wait another 6 years and let's just recast it. So just, it's like, treat it like the comic books. When like a new artist comes on board, the character always looks a little different. Mm-hmm. So why
just
not?
Don't make it look like Rob Liefeld's Cap.
Oh no, they got to get some big bodybuilder dude who's like really disproportioned up top, and tiny little feet.
Well, they just can't show the feet.
Well, that's why they wouldn't be able to show the feet, because he has to have feet that are so tiny. But yeah, it's, I don't know.
And pockets, lots of pockets,
pouches.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I wouldn't be upset necessarily, but it's not my preference to have Chris Evans come back.
That's where I'm at.
MCU.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
But speaking of crying about things, see, I'm getting good at these. Booyah. So Ray Fisher has officially been fired from the Flash movie. But last week when we talked about this, didn't they say he was never in it in the first place?
That's correct.
Okay, so how did he get fired from something that he was never actually in?
Unless they weren't telling the truth, which...
Well, okay, so I've been looking into this just because, like, I don't know, it's not as interesting as the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing with the he said, she said.
Right, no.
But it's still a he said, Warner Brothers said type of a thing, because they have, like, dissenting, like, stories about who quit and who was fired and who did what. And so, you know, Ray Fisher has confirmed he's been removed from the cast of Warner Brothers' The Flash and will not reprise the role of Cyborg in the comic book quote unquote film. He said, I strongly disagree with their decision, but it's one that is unsurprising, Fisher said at the beginning of a 2-page post published on Wednesday evening. You know, it's been such a toxic relationship for him with Warner Brothers. It's like, dude, just stop. You're hurting. You're doing more damage to your career, and people not named me viewed him as a promising actor. Mm-hmm. I never saw that. I never like I don't remember anything else he was in.
I think this was one of, because he was on Broadway, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think this was like one of his first big roles.
Yeah.
Or Justice League was.
Yeah, but and so, you know, I mean, there was a rumor saying he didn't want to say booyah, even though that was like, that's Cyborg's catchphrase, and, you know, he did not have any of the joy that comes along with the character of Vic Stone. And it was, I don't know, it's so disappointing what they've done to Cyborg all around with Warner Brothers and DC. He used to be an amazing character when he was part of the Teen Titans in the comics, and then the Teen Titans cartoon series. He was like awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is just good that this chapter of his life has ended, and he can hopefully go and find something where he can be happy and enjoy what he's doing, and really kind of like fall back in love with acting. Yeah. Maybe
because what you said is doing more damage than you are helping yourself. And you know, when he had these you know these allegations and stuff, there's a time where you just say, okay, I said my piece, I don't have to get on Twitter or Instagram or whatever and continually harp on about it, because he
does, apparently.
Yeah, and it gets to the point. It no longer, I just, you know, I lose. It's not that I lose sympathy, but I lose caring about what happened.
Right. I become apathetic.
Yeah, and that's the danger of when, even if you're telling the truth, continually harping on something the way he did makes people just lose interest and just shut it off. And, and if it's this important, they should be paying attention. That's why you have. This is the thing people don't get. It's not just what you're fighting for, it's how you deliver the message. Because, and this is when you're doing a persuasive speech, for example, you have to take into account your audience and say, what's the best way to reach them?
Right.
You can't get upset if you do something that you know is going to be divisive and half the audience checks out. That's on you as the presenter and the speaker.
Yes. Wait, I'm sorry. Ruin Johnson.
So he did a lot of disservice to himself. And again, I agree with you. This is the only thing I saw him in, Justice League. And I'm not going to judge anyone by how they acted in Justice League.
I'm not judging him as an actor.
Yeah.
I think he had a promising career going into this.
And I hope he gets, whatever happens.
Here's what I hope. All right. So Twitter exacerbates any mental illness you might have. And I'm not saying he's mentally ill, but Twitter has introduced a paranoia into this man's life that is fed and starved from the people who, support him.
Mm-hmm.
And, I put Cryborg as in the timestamp thing. But, that's what, people are calling him. And, he has been, did he cry wolf? I don't think so.
Right.
But I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not an investigator. I'm not someone who cares necessarily. So what I hope is that he can take some time, find something he loves, go the Shawn Michaels route, since we were just talking about wrestling. He can go find his smile.
Yeah.
And come back.
And delete Twitter.
Dude, yeah, get off Twitter. Get off social media. You don't need to be on there. If you want to promote your stuff, have your publicist do it from an account that says Ray Fisher PR and be done with it. Don't interact with I don't know. Neither one. I deleted Twitter this week.
Yeah.
I didn't delete the account. I just deleted the app.
I deleted my Twitter account about a month and a half ago.
But
I deleted Facebook off my phone this week. I still have it. And again, I hardly ever check Facebook. And that's been going on for the last year. So this is nothing new for me with Facebook.
The only reason I hop on Facebook is because of the podcast page, which I forget to update most of the time anyway. And my buddy Jamie Spots with his memes. That's literally because I only like his memes.
Those are some quality memes.
He is a meme master. He is a meme gunslinger. He's got a ton of them. When he shares memories, it's all old memes. It's I remember where I was that day. I was in line at the bank when I saw that meme. when I saw him post that meme. But anyway, he just needs to not be on social media and not interacting with people, because there's so many strong. It's become a divisive thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's he needs to be off of there. He allegedly didn't respond to their lawyers or even his own lawyers. And so it's let's just forget about what's happening here. Let's move on with everything. And I forget who said they shouldn't recast. No, they absolutely need to recast Cyborg and redeem him. I forget who it was, because there's you could do it might have been Grace. She's
yes,
it was Grace Randolph. Because she was there's so many other characters of color you can pick. Great, so you're going to shoehorn someone in because of their color of their skin, Grace. That's what you want to do. Because I'm sorry, I do think Cyborg, as a character properly written, really adds something to the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is a little bit troubled. The character should have a little bit of self-doubt, because he's part man, part machine. But at the same time, he's got an unending confidence and joy about what he does and being a hero.
Yeah.
And we never got to see it.
Right. And part of that was because Justice League was his origin story, just like Man of Steel. Although that's totally different, Man of Steel. Even though I liked it, it wasn't.
Man of Steel was never meant to be the opening salvo of a cinematic universe.
No, it wasn't.
So, and it's very obvious. All right. Moving on. Our last bit of news is some Star Wars news. And before I get into the actual news story, I saw a rumor today.
I'm all ears.
Lars Mikkelsen signed on to be Thrawn in the Ahsoka series.
Speaking of bringing you joy, that brings me joy, if that's true.
I hope it's true. I saw it on the Watch just the watch on their Facebook page because I happen to be on Facebook, even though we just talked about that. And I was like, I just want to see what the people say because I don't think they knew who it is. And they're like, I thought this was gonna be RDJ. They should have a big name actor in this role. No, you should not have a big name actor as Thrawn. Because you need to look at Thrawn and just see Thrawn. You don't need to look at Thrawn and be like, I wonder when he's going to make a quippy Iron Man quip.
Yeah.
Or I wonder when Iron Man is going to give Ultron a blowjob. Oh, wait, no, that's not less than 0. Never mind.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, and I am fine with RDJ being in Star Wars. But
yeah, but as
Thrawn,
no. Yeah, RDJ should be like some douchey politician in Star Wars.
Yeah, and I think
in the New Republic.
I think I told you that a couple of Talon Karrde that a couple people said, which that name sounds familiar to me. I just can't place it.
Yeah,
but yeah, like if this is true, I mean, this is a perfect casting.
Yeah. So I mean, he's the voice.
Yeah, and it's not just because he does the voice.
And he does the voice so well.
Yeah.
Hello, Ezra Bridger. So good.
So,
I can't do the voice. I can't because it's got that like snake like hiss to it, yet it's got that like sinister undertone to it. Oh God, it's perfect.
Yeah.
The only person who does Thrawn better is Mark Thompson, who reads the Star Wars Thrawn novels. He actually does. So as bad as Will Wheaton is at narrating, narrating. Mark Thompson is that much at the top of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, those, and again, with audiobooks, that is...
Dude, Will Wheaton ruined an already ruined book with Ready Player Blah.
Yeah, that was a scathing review you sent me.
It was bad. Should I read it before we get to the Star Wars games news?
Yeah.
All right. Since we ended the show last week with... Ready Player 2 chat after we were done talking about the Expanse. I got to go all the way through here. Man, we text a lot.
Yeah.
So, my picture with Cara Dune holding Din head. Did you laugh out loud at that one?
Yeah. At first I was like, whose head? Oh, that's Din's head.
Okay. So the title, you can go on Audible and look me up and find this, but it's wow, one of stolen ideas this time out. So my review is, to start, Will Wheaton is probably the worst audiobook narrator of all time. He is really distracting with his voice cadence, plain and simple, because he's awful. On decline, Ready Player One is obviously the exception for him. Armada was a ripoff of The Last Starfighter. Ready Player 2 is equal parts ripoff of Tron Legacy and Upload. I feel like I listened to this book so you don't have to. I was excited to see where Ready Player One was going to go in this new chapter, but I was met with equal parts of disappointment and boredom. This is a must skip. And I actually got I have never done this before, but I requested a refund from...
That's bad.
From Audible. I've never done it. And I got the Matthew McConaughey book with the credit I got back just because you said it was so good.
You're going to love that book.
So,
it's awesome.
Well, I started re-listening to Leviathan Wakes, so I got to wait a little bit to,
Are you going to go through the whole series?
I think I'm going to finish Leviathan Wakes and then listen to Matthew McConaughey's book and then go back. So it should have been called All Right. Or, you know what I like about high school girls? I keep getting older, and they say the same age. He wants to wrestle, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, he talked about like showing up in WWE for something. He might. There's actual odds, I think, that he'll show up in the Royal Rumble this year because he's been seen like backstage and stuff. Anyway, all right. So on to the actual topic here. Lucasfilm Games has a new partnership. So they've gotten rid of the exclusivity with the evil empire of Electronic Arts, otherwise known as the worst games ever, EA Games, which, to be fair, Fallen Order is amazing.
Yes.
Squadrons is way more fun than I ever expected it to be. And Battlefront 2, once they got the loot crate nonsense taken care of, it's actually a really fun game. Mm-hmm. So for all the people out there bashing EA, they did not do a horrible job with Star Wars. They just did not do enough Star Wars games.
Right.
Because we're used to getting a new Star Wars game every year.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I will say with gaming, licensed exclusivity like this is bad for the consumer.
Oh, yeah.
You look at, and again, the easiest comparison, I don't know about some of the other sports games, but look at Madden. Madden has had an exclusivity for, what, is it like 15 years or
Almost
something?
30.
No, like, because they had 2K back in the early 2000s until, I think, 2006.
Before it became exclusive. I think it was 2005.
Yeah, or something like that. And what happens is when you have exclusivity, you don't have to innovate.
Mm-mm.
The worst thing for WWE was when they purchased WCW.
Yeah.
Because the innovation and the need to innovate, just, you don't have competition. So
Right.
you don't have, and I actually watched this, I should have looked it up who it was from, but it's about a 35-minute video on YouTube about Madden and how Madden has not changed.
No, it hasn't.
And this guy went over like 90 different things this Madden 21 doesn't have that the older Madden games actually did have.
The last Madden game I bought was 2005.
Mine too.
And that's the best version of Madden ever.
Yeah.
Because that was the first one where it opened up where you could use the right control stick to turn your quarterback's head to scan the field and like freeze the defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
Where, I mean, it's just like anything you can do to actually like play like real football and you're not just button mashing and chucking down the field.
Yeah, like even the quarterback and the character mechanics from NFL 2K back in 2005 is better than what they do now.
Correct.
Like loads better.
And 2K ruined WWE because they had the license, the exclusive license, and 2K20 was so bad they did not make a 2K21. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things. But all right, so there's going to be an Ubisoft.
Yeah, they do the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, but they are doing a massive open world game, which if I can fly like my AXBY wing around and go from planet to planet and maybe like loot stuff or get into like space battles while I'm like in between, like maybe I have to jump to hyperspace before I get out. If I can like maybe make my own ship or whatever, that is what I want to see.
Yeah, and right now I'm playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh, cool.
Again, I can't believe I'm like 45 hours in, and
jeez,
I didn't think I was playing that much, but yeah.
I really liked the Revolutionary War Assassin's Creed.
I never played that one
with Connor, the Native American.
I've heard that was really.
It was
good.
really cool because you got to hunt,
mm-hmm.
and like when you would go and like skin the animal, it like did a prayer, like because it was like thank you for the land and it's.
I think they have I'm trying to think if they have the Assassin's Creed collection like remastered on PS4.
Because that was on PS3.
Yeah,
that was
just like
that was the only one I've ever played.
Just like Uncharted, I have the Uncharted collection from PS3.
Yeah,
on PS4. So
I have the one that came with the PS4, the whatever Thieves End. Yeah, which was really good. I liked it. That's the only one I've ever played. But yeah, so it's gonna run off of the massive Snowdrop engine from Division 2 and the Crew. So we'll see how this works and everything. Yeah. And then Bethesda is the company that does Fallout, and I think they do the one we were just talking about, Uncharted.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, maybe. But they're gonna be developing an Indiana Jones game.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah. So I mean, we're getting Fallen Order 2. I don't know what it's gonna be called. I doubt it'll be called Fallen Order. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Star Wars desperately needs to have more games come out.
Can we get Starkiller back? I really like those games.
I know you did. I don't know. I always got frustrated playing The Force Unleashed.
What?
Because it kind of felt like it was a turn-based game a little bit. Like, I don't know. I never felt like the fight mechanics kept up to what I wanted it to be. Whereas, like, when I got Fallen Order, like, you're in the thick of it and you're fighting in 360 degrees. Like, you're able to go between like the dual to the single, and you're able to split it in half and like do
they didn't have
so,
that. I really enjoyed the combat. I think there was a little bit more of the, what do they call it, or kind of the quick time in Unforce Unleashed. Again, I haven't gotten really deep into Fallen Order, but so far there's not a lot of quick time events.
No.
So, I mean, God of War did the same thing,
Yeah.
but God of War is a great game.
Yeah,
but,
God of War is awesome. So
Anyway, all right. So now let's move on to WandaVision. Wow. I mean, just wow. I mean, like, and I'm not saying wow facetiously or anything. It was really quite fun for the first two episodes.
Yeah, and 5 minutes in, and I couldn't help but just kind of like noticing myself how much I'm smiling watching this.
I laughed out loud several times. So we're going to do non-spoiler reviews here for the first two episodes. And then we are going to release on Tuesday or Wednesday our audio commentary for the first 2 weeks. It's only going to be on Patreon. We're not going to turn that on. So that'll be for all tiers. So like for $2, you can get our weekly commentary for WandaVision, and then we'll pick another show to do after this if it goes well, which I'm excited to do because like I'm going to totally MST3K this. I told Darryl I'm going to make fun of it, and he clapped back at me on the text. You will not make fun
of Wanda.
I would never make fun of Wanda.
That is something that would have fit right into that show.
100%. Okay, so real quick, so WandaVision stars obviously Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. Deborah Jo Rupp from That 70s Show is on there.
That's who she is. Okay.
Fred Meeland, who has been in a ton of stuff. He's like one of those that guy actors. He was on a Hulu original show called Casual. I highly recommend watching that one. Catherine Hahn, who I love. If you've seen the Bad Moms movies, she's in We're the Millers. She's got a show. It was a one-season show on HBO called Mrs. Fletcher. Love her. She's hilarious. She was in Bad Words with Jason Bateman about the adult who goes through the spelling bee because he dropped out in 8th grade. Anyway, and then Teyonah, is that how you say that?
Teyonah Parris.
Yeah, Teyonah Parris, who is Monica Rambeau, who is the grown-up little girl from Captain Marvel. You got Kat Denning coming back from the Thor character Darcy she played, and Randall Park as the FBI agent from Ant-Man.
Yeah. What was Is it Agent Kim?
I don't remember.
Oh.
So he was just really funny.
I actually meant to look it up.
So, but yeah, anyway, all right. So they just titled these episode 1, episode 2. I didn't see like episode names for them yet.
I didn't either.
And I didn't watch it at like 3 a.m. like I do The Mandalorian. So, but so for this week, they did 2 episodes to kind of kick it off because it's kind of a 2-parter. Like, not, right. I mean, a little bit, not really. But they did 2 episodes, and then next week it'll be 1, and so on and so forth. Just 1 episode for the next few weeks. Okay, so in episode 1, it just kind of kicks off in this town of Westville, and it's in the 50s. And it's Wanda and Viz living together. Yeah. And they're trying to figure out what's going on, but they're still trying to act like they're a normal 50s couple.
Yeah.
Which was really funny. And you know, she's being telekinetic, he's being a super android and phasing through things and whatnot.
And yeah, like before we started, I was talking about how it's such a reminder to some of those shows from the 50s and 60s, which again, neither one of us are that old, but we both would watch.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the reruns when we were kids after school. It's very I Dream of Jeannie, like you said.
Bewitched.
Yes.
Like
it's an amazing cross between the two, to be honest.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that's like, especially getting like once I got kind of my feet wet with the first one and watching it to the second one, that's what I saw is that mix of those two shows because, I mean, Jeannie, bewitched, and that's Wanda, and the dialogue is straight up out of a
so
show
great.
from the 50s.
And her the 50s housewife voice.
Yeah.
Hello, dear. And it's just like
they have the thing I can't stand. I won't watch sitcoms now that have laugh tracks.
Well, yeah.
But for this,
it's ironic.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. Funny aside, Sports Night. Do you remember that show? It was on ABC.
Yes.
If you went to Miami of Ohio, like Darryl and I did, watch Sports Night in Millette Hall. Anytime they show a basketball game, it's either a guys or girls basketball game in Millette Hall on the screen. I always find that awesome. But Sports Night had a laugh track for like the first 6 episodes, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we don't need this." So, no. So they're a couple, and Vision goes off to work, and Scarlet Witch, as our Wanda, is at home, and there's a heart drawn on the calendar, and she has no idea what it's
and
for.
it's like they start off like, oh, I know what it is, but I think you forgot what it is.
Yeah.
And it's just that play where two people, and again, this is one of those things you saw in those old shows, they're kind of like that back and forth where they don't want to admit that they have no idea what's going on. And it kind of plays into the whole, the overarching theme of they actually don't know what's going on.
Right. But she ends up thinking it's their anniversary.
Yeah.
Because it's a heart.
Yeah.
And it turns out his boss and his boss's wife, played by Fred Meeland and Deborah Jo Rupp, the Hearts, are coming over for dinner. And he drew the heart as an abbreviation. And her line to respond to that, she said, "You fly at supersonic speed and I'm magic," or something like that. Yeah. And why do we need abbreviations? Yeah. So I thought that was great. I did love him working at Computational Services, Inc., and he finished all of his work in just like a second.
It's like, since you've been around, productivity has gone up 300%.
Yep. And I love the guy. He's like, "Wow, you're like a computer." Nope, no, I'm a non-computer human man. And
like totally organic.
So, and just the little like jokes like, "Oh, well, yes, I'm married to a human man."
and the other thing that captures the essence of these 50 shows is how they, it's their posture as far as not quite looking at the camera, but almost like when you're in a play, you have to face the audience.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of, I'm facing the audience.
They're not breaking the fourth wall.
Right.
But
yeah, exactly.
And then you kind of get the idea that like nobody's supposed to be there. Like it's this cool little undertone, and we'll get into more of that in the commentary. But yeah, so it's really cool. Catherine Hahn is trying to help her be a housewife. But my favorite part of the show was when they sat down to dinner with the Harts, and Mrs. Hart says, where are you from? How'd you meet? When'd you get married? Why don't you have kids yet? Yeah. And it was like, wow, that's such the 50s thing to say to a new couple.
Right.
But yeah, and it's all in black. It was all in black and white. It was all in the 4:3 aspect ratio, which it worked. It really worked.
Yeah.
It's still high def. I mean, it's still like super crisp and clear. It's 4K actually. But yeah, and so that was really, really good. And then the episode ends with someone watching them.
Right.
And it's like, and there's a couple of familiar logos that you're going to see as Easter eggs throughout the episode. So episode 1 was written by or directed by Matt Shankman, and was written by Jack Sheffer, and I think she's the showrunner.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's short for Jackie or Jacqueline. Yeah, she's the showrunner. So it was. I felt like it was a really good pilot. I mean, it's not like the Supernatural pilot. Don't get me wrong, but it was a really good way to like introduce us to this trippy, weird world, and it was really, really. I felt like it was really, really well written.
Oh, absolutely.
So it did everything it needed to do to introduce me to the world, show me what was happening without like beating me over the head with it, and then, bam, got right into the story.
And totally different show, but that plays on a sort of nostalgia like this does. Different type. Cobra Kai does the same thing.
Yeah, but Cobra Kai is like real nostalgia.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, no, this is absolutely real nostalgia. Thought you banged your head there.
No, I had to stretch out my back.
Like in the sense of not from a common property, but just an overall theme of this.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can get on board
But to your
with that.
point about how it doesn't beat you over the head, like it does such a good job of it captures that joy from those 50s type shows that where you just can't help but smile while you watch it. So it was a very good pilot.
Yeah.
And like I said, 5 minutes in, I just said out loud, I'm just like loving this.
Right. And so the first episode takes place in the 50s, right? So then moving into episode 2, which was also directed by Matt Shackman and this time written by Gretchen Enders. This takes place in the 60s. They did a time jump and they're more in with being a family or being a couple, and she's going to join the neighborhood women's group with the amazing Emma Caulfield Ford. Anyanka from Buffy. Rest in power, Anya. Anyway, but yeah, it was really good. They're going to perform a magic show at the town kids charity show. It's very funny. Vision gets the works gummed up, so to speak, and he's acting drunk and kind of off his game. Do you have notes?
Yeah.
Okay. And just Wanda is fixing everything as he keeps trying to blow their cover, essentially.
Yeah, and one of the things I liked is when you were talking about the whole gummed up is how they bring in that classic animation style to show the internal workings of whatever.
It's like the electric company.
Yeah. So it kind of some of the part of me reminded me of Jurassic Park when they're going through the.
And that's how you make a baby dinosaur.
So yeah, and there was a very you're talking about the women's group. There's a very Stepfordy Wives feel.
There absolutely is, and again, because none of this is apparently real, and it's funny because you see a couple glitches in the Matrix,
right?
And it's really, really cool. There's a cool thing that happens with one of the radios, but the magic show is really, really good. And then at the end of the episode, it jumps to the 70s and something else big happens that we're not going to spoil. But just this was just meant to be kind of a real quick kind of review / what do you want to call it, highlight of but yeah, so check out on Tuesday or Wednesday, just check it out, check out our Patreon, Infamous Podcast. Go to infamouspodcast.com. You can click on the Patreon link or go to patreon.com/infamouspodcast. Either way works. And yeah, so for as little as $2 a month, you can get all 8 of the commentaries.
Pretty great. And highly recommend giving this show a watch.
Definitely watch this show. I will give it a solid 4.5 No More Mutants out of 5.
I was gonna say 4, about 4 capes out of 5.
That works too.
So, a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Absolutely. All right, so moving
Less
on.
fun in the sense of joy and happiness.
All right, so you and I disagree on this. We were on the same page, and then I rewatched it, and I watched it through a different lens. So we're talking about The Expanse, season 5, episode 7.
Oyedeng. Goodbye.
Which is goodbye. So Oyedeng, Beltalowda.
Well.
Anyway, so this episode is, so I as I was putting the show notes together, it appears that this episode is the first of a 2-part episode, because it does end on a huge cliffhanger, which is the scene that I've been waiting for all season.
Right.
Because it's one of the coolest things that Naomi does in all 8 books of a ton of cool things that this woman does. Naomi is quickly re-establishing herself as one of my 3 favorite characters in the show, not named Amos Burton. So, anyway, so it opens with Naomi having a dream, essentially, sequence of the early days with Marco and a very young Philip.
Little baby Philip.
Baby Philip. Her hair, she's got like the long hair. Like it took me a second with Dominique Tipper with the long hair because like she's always had like the curly like kind of flop on top. Like I love her hair in the early episode.
That's still my favorite hairstyle for her, like that the half mohawk type.
Oh hell yeah,
I love that. Absolutely love
especially on a black woman because with the curly hair and like it works and it's super sexy. But you could pull that off.
I've actually joked about doing that.
You should do the Killmonger, like with the dreads going forward, like he did. Anyway, you can pull that off.
Hey, Auntie. I don't know.
Anywho, but yeah, so it starts with that, and then she kind of comes to and realizes, oh wait, I'm still in the real world.
Yeah, and
Boom.
that opening told you kind of where we were going with this.
It totally
episode,
set up the episode.
Which, again, I didn't dislike it. I actually really, especially on the second, and again, when you said, you watched it again, I didn't look at it through the lens you looked at because I didn't know it was going to be like two-parter.
I feel like they should have put to be continued at the end of this one in particular.
So I definitely, again, this is one of those I definitely like better the second time around. Sure. And for certain, like overall as an episode, it was one of my least favorites of this season.
Sure.
With that being said, it's one of my favorites for Naomi.
Yeah.
Like what happens with Naomi, and we'll go a little bit more into that.
So, so Naomi has a confrontation with Marco. He lets her out, and again,
do we have to say it again with that Keon Alexander?
Dude, Keon Alexander's amazing. That when he is going back and forth with her about like her leaving and you tried to kill me, all this, all that, and like yelling at him, and then Philip slaps her.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. Like I don't know, I like everything that Naomi did. The best part about it is when they were with the larger group is watching Sin in the background, and the actor that plays Sin, who is named hold on, I have to get to it. Brett Sexton did such a good job of like being conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, like on the second viewing is what actually really made this for me, is Brett Sexton's conflicted. Like, I love this woman as a sister. I've missed her for years. He talks to her about like when they saw her on Palace in the bar, and like all these like feelings rush back to him, and the sorrow he feels for letting Marco poison Philip.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the hate he has for her leaving and forcing him to become the man he's become, and letting Philip become helping make Philip the man he is.
Like and again, like most of this is Naomi. This is a Naomi centric episode, if there ever was one.
It's been a while. The last one we had was back on the Behemoth in season 2 or 3. So. Mm-hmm.
Because in this one, you get a little bit of Alex and Bobby.
Well, they have a great interaction. Like she pulls a bullet out of her jumpsuit there, and Alex is like, "Do I need to get the Mr. Doctor?" And she's like, "Nah, it just itches."
Yeah,
Bobby's a badass.
Like, I love their relationship.
Yep.
Which
Frankie Adams' delivery there too.
Yeah. And when they're talking about that, she left out the fact that they destroyed the
right,
ship.
Yeah,
and he was like, Alvarez didn't mention that. She was like, I kind of left it out.
She didn't.
I could give you one of my medals.
Yeah,
and he was just like, fuck you. Their relationship is so good, but we only got a little bit of them.
Honestly, I kind of felt like we got the perfect amount.
I think so.
So because I feel like we're getting a lot of them next week.
The most disappointing aspect is that we got nothing from Amos and Peaches,
yeah.
which. Again, based on...
But we just got a full episode of Amos and Peaches.
Right. But what I'm saying is we just didn't get any. So this was like really, really heavy with the Naomi, the Philip, the Marco, even the Sin. Like we're getting back on talking about Sin. When he admits to her the fact that he was the one that helped hide Philip.
Mm-hmm.
And the look on her face.
And
again, I'm going to go, MCU. One of my favorite scenes is
when
in
Black
Civil
Widow
War.
gets thrown off of the cliff.
Come off of it. You're getting like Ray Fisher now with this stuff. You just keep on grinding with it. But no, is when Tony finds out about his parents and he asks Cap, he's like, "Did you know?"
Yeah.
And then Cap, kind of tries to, "I didn't know, but did you know?" And that's the same look Naomi gave Sin. It was that just, I thought I was betrayed before, like that unbelievable.
I knew who Marco was.
Yeah.
But you?
Yes.
You, Sin?
Yeah. And
yeah, I really feel like they made a lot. I feel like they did a lot in this episode, with most of the episode being taken up by 4 actors.
Yes.
And not one of them overshadowed the other one, and they all really, really, really just kind of brought it, because it had to be emotional.
Mm-hmm. Very emotional episode.
So, Naomi having the moment with Philip where, she tries the different approach, and, she's like, she kind of gets the belter draw back in there a little bit, and she's trying to tell him like how much he meant to her, and how, she didn't want to leave, and, but she had to.
Yeah.
Because he was taken away from her.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really her choice not to be with him.
And I liked how he was like, "Did you leave once, you couldn't find me?" And she said, "No, I looked for months."
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed this, and I went back on the other episodes and they did not do this. If you notice in this episode, anytime they're on the Pella, there's this kind of weird, like the camera like slowly rotates back and forth like this. Kind of like, like you're on the ship and you're trying to gain your balance. And I was like, did they do this? And I went back and they didn't do this in the other episodes.
I bet. I mean, because she's trying to find balance.
Yeah, and I was wondering when it was only the second time I saw it.
I didn't even
on my second rewatch.
You know what she could have done to find balance is a good kata from Miyagi-Do.
Karate. Oh, jeez. But I thought that was a fascinating choice, because it really, that's a point. You're talking about the whole balance thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really small detail, which it made each of those scenes different than when we jump to Holden and Rossi. Everything is, even keel and all that stuff. But I thought that was very interesting, just that change in, camera work. I thought that brought something that, especially on the second time around and everything that's going on the Pella, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very ingenious way to use camera work.
It really was. That, like, just that you're mentioning it, not that I saw it. But yeah, no, that's really that. Like, but that's what we expect from this show, to do those little things so well. Naomi decides she's gonna ask Sen for help. She gets emotional with him. Philip then at one point goes to Marco and is like, "I want a command."
Mm-hmm.
And man, does Marco just destroy him?
Well, even before that, going back when he asked to use the ship.
Oh yeah,
that Naomi gave him.
Right.
And again, he is a master manipulator.
Oh yeah.
The way he says, he's like, "I didn't know if it would be any, have any sentimental value to you."
Right.
And this is very interesting
because it goes back to my son has a big heart.
Yeah. So when Philip tells him, he's like, "I just want you to be proud of me."
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say "I am."
Right.
He says "I know."
Yeah.
That's Philip is begging for that
paternal love.
Yeah. And Marco just keeps it just out of reach to make him continue to reach for it.
Yeah. And he keeps moving the goal line.
Yes. And and the way Keon Alexander just, everything he does, I just love this guy.
It's not just his voice, right?
Yeah, right.
It's his body language. It's that look of contempt on his face.
Yeah.
That, like, if you've watched any of the interviews or the after show stuff with him, he's got the biggest freaking smile.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's like all teeth like a shark. But like it's super like, engaging, and he's just like so controlled except for when he's not.
Right.
And the times that he's not, that's actually Marco's default state.
Yes. That's
and so yeah.
Everything else is an act to put on.
Well, I mean, Naomi tells him,
Yeah.
"You're trying to be the man that Jim Holden is."
Yeah.
And he loses it. That was the worst thing she could say to him.
Yes.
Because he hates Holden. He's never met Holden. He just knows Holden has Naomi. And that was great. But yeah, so.
Yeah, so the scene that you were talking about, getting back to the scene on the bridge with Philip, and how he's talking about you're nothing without me.
Right.
He breaks him down to the bare bones, like to his foundations.
Oh yeah.
And then he slowly builds him back up again. People like that, it's one of those things that on the show you can just, because he's as an actor, it's just it's so great to watch. But in real life, it's such a despicable type of person that does that purposefully breaks somebody down and builds them back up in their image.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
Yeah, so I've had issues with that before too. So
anyway,
but yeah,
trigger warning, Darryl. Trigger warning.
So, and I love that how he ends up getting the crew to chant Philip's name.
Right. And it was so disingenuous.
Yeah.
And, but Philip started to kind of eat it up a little bit.
Oh,
too,
absolutely he did.
Because he doesn't know any better. So then, like, this is where Marco requests Naomi's presence to tell her she's free to leave. But he tells her, like, oh yeah, by the way, the Chet Smoka is now being used as bait for Holden and the Rossi.
And I'm gonna let you're gonna see your family killed, and then I'll let you float.
Yep, that's harsh.
Man.
If I'm ever a villain, I want to be a Marco Naros.
That is,
like, I just want to have that, like, cold, sadistic, like, not. I don't want, like, but if I was ever a villain, I would want to have that. Let's do a whataboutism. What about or a what ifism. But yeah, it was, and he gets so mad at her. He calls her nothing. She drags her away and she's screaming. And I've never heard Dominique Tipper scream and like sound like a wounded animal. And it was like heartbreaking and awesome.
The last I Hate You that sounded like that was Anakin burned up on the muscle. It's like,
yeah, I mean, it was really weird too when Marco was like, "You were the chosen one. I loved you like a brother." I was like, "Whoa, hold on."
You were supposed to be balanced, to the belters and the inners.
You were supposed to destroy all those cones on those ships with your code. So anyway, but yeah, so this episode kind of has two endings, in my opinion. So we've got the Rossi chasing down the Zamea. Right? Did I say that right? And Holden is walking around with his Martian like warsuit on the entire episode.
Yeah.
Like everybody else is in their streets and he's
Holden.
ready to go. He's in full on. This is Captain James Holden of the warship Rocinante.
Yes.
You're well aware of our capabilities, kind of mode right now. And they track it down. They go to stop it. They're shooting missiles. We kind of get to see the Rossi working at full strength.
Yeah.
Even though it's not quite full strength because they don't have the cowboy.
Yeah, they don't have our boy Alex
at the pilot. Like I don't think
Bull,
we would have.
Bull is what you would call serviceable.
Yeah. I mean, Bull's all right.
Yeah.
So but what I really liked is not everything went perfect for the Rossi. Like one of the guns jammed. Bull actually had to like do some maneuvering to make up for that to get the last two missiles. The really interesting, so two interesting things really happened. One was the conversation between Bull and Jim and Monica about the proto-molecule and about how they had Holden finally admitted to her, like, yeah, we had a sample of it.
We were supposed to destroy it.
And Naomi gave it to Fred.
Yeah.
And Monica, just kind of the realization of like what that actually meant was a really interesting look on her face. Like, and again, I forget the actress's name. Anna Hopkins is so great as Monica Stewart. Like, so great. Because she's kind of Weasley, but she's a journalist, but she also genuinely cares about Holden. She really, really does.
Right.
Plus, he saved her life. So, but like with the three of them talking about it and everything, it was really, 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 really cool. And then, they had to go, full burn and, everybody got the juice. She finally got to feel what it was like to be, really moving in the warship.
Right. And going back to Monica, one of the things she says before they go on the hunt is, okay, we're thinking about this. Like, how are we thinking about this with Marco and the ships? He doesn't have the capital to get these ships.
Right.
So it's either a promise of something or someone, a higher up on the MCRN has the same goals as Marco. And, then she mentions that, it's not just the proto-molecule, but they have Cortazar too.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, as people who've read the books, we kind of know what's going on. But, if you're just watching the show, you don't know what's going on and who is orchestrating all of this. I mean, we got the name, what was a couple episodes ago? Was it Silvatar?
Yeah, Silvatar.
And it'll be I'm curious to see where they go in this last couple episodes and then into next season.
So at one point, Marco had the ring gate entrance and exit up, and there were 3 different ships, all MCRN. One had just come through, and then Mateo's ship was like up in the top corner there.
Oh, see, I missed that.
So I paused it.
Okay.
So I was on the second one. I was like, wait, what did that say? And they're all 3 ships from what's going to happen.
And remember, Sevatar was talking about defense of the ring gate in his, when Alex saw him on Mars in that lecture.
Yeah. So, I mean, it just takes one ship.
Yeah.
Once you're inside, you only need one ship to defend all the gates.
Yeah. And the other thing I don't know if you were going to get to that, was the conversation Bull has with Holden about Fred.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was great too.
It was really good. It was a great moment between the two of them. It was a lot of character building for Bull, which was desperately needed.
Absolutely.
And it just gave us more Holden than we've had. Like, Holden has definitely been a secondary character this season, which I'm all right with, because where we're going, the focus is gonna firmly come back onto Holden, with the war, which I'm beginning to think that's what season 6 is gonna be. We're not gonna get this wrapped up, which is great. I mean, it's fine. So
fine by me.
Yay. But so they catch up on the Zmea, and they blow out the engine with the railgun. I love watching the Rossi.
I don't know
with
why
the
I
railgun.
sometimes forget that they have the railgun.
Well, because they so when they were helping on Illis, right? Yeah, Illis.
Yeah, Illis.
I was gonna say Ilum, but that's the planet where the Jedi get their kyber crystals. Wrong show. But no, on Illis in the book, remember, they used the railgun 6 or 7 times to the point where they almost burned it up.
Yeah.
Or they did burn it out. To move the Barba
Piccola.
And in the show they only shot it once. So I think that's probably why they never made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And plus we didn't have Jim's inner monologue talking about how great it was to have a railgun now.
Right.
But on a separate system, and it ran up the keel of the anyway. But
I love watching that.
Watching it fire is awesome, and the just the precision of it, right? It's really, really cool. But then as they're coming in, they're like, "Hey, prepare for boarding. Shut your reactor down. We want to have a talk." It explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, that's the end of the episode. No, we still have 5 more minutes with Naomi.
Yeah, and it's funny, watching it the second time, I didn't catch what Marco said when he was, communicating with the Zemaya before that. He was like, you know what you have to do,
right.
or you know what to do.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you're right. Then it comes to the second ending.
Yeah, so then we get the real ending. Naomi is about to leave. She's about to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And Sin and Philip find her. And she's in the airlock.
Sin actually gets into the airlock.
Which is, so all of this is the same. Like, they actually did this better than what I expected because we got to see it. Sin steps into the airlock and she's apologizing to him because she knows she can't save him at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's about to kill her friend. And it's, again, like, this is where, like, we need the inner monologue of the character, because the calculations in the book that she's making in her head about, like, when to breathe out,
mm-hmm.
so her lungs are completely empty so she doesn't decompress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess there's actual science behind all of this,
mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And she's got to be going a certain speed, and she's got the adrenaline, and she's got to do it at the right time. So she opens the airlock and she jumps to the Chetsmoka, and Sin is right there at the door, and he's magnetized his boots.
Yeah.
And dies.
Yeah.
Like, just right there. So the doors can't close too. So it's not like they could, like, mount some sort of, like, rescue. I guess rescue is not the right word, but, like, mount, like, an event to go get her.
Yeah. And Philip's on the other side.
On the other side, watching her.
Yeah.
And he thinks she's committing suicide.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what she's doing. Watching her float through space was so cool because she had that breath frozen in front of her the whole time. And then you see the capillaries in her eyes start to, like, burn essentially a little bit, or burst. And she gets there and she gets in, and as we fade to black, you see her face, and it is so bruised, and like it is exactly the way they described it in the book. And it was such an awesome scene. And I'm so happy they did it. I'm so happy they did not do what I thought they should do as far as she jumps and then we see the aftermath. But she's got one more of these in her, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was just a really, really cool scene.
Yeah. And one of the things is, and I think, again, watching it the second time, it really hit home, is when she's at the door and she turns around and says, "You shouldn't have followed me."
Right.
And you hear the music swell, and then she jumps out, and the music slowly cuts off, and then you just
she
have
enters vacuum.
Yeah, and you have nothing until she's getting closer to the door, and then you hear the undercurrents of the soundtrack coming back until she gets into Chetzamoka.
Yep. So cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm gonna give this 4.5 Rossies out of 5.
I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
So
I really ended up really on second watch, like, and kind of getting the other context to it. Like I really enjoyed this very much.
I'm really curious to see how watching next week's episode, if that will up it a little bit.
Maybe,
Because, again, for example, WandaVision.
Yeah.
I think if I would have seen these separately and on different weeks,
it wouldn't have been as powerful.
It wouldn't have been as powerful for me.
For the second episode, at least. Like, the first episode would have been the first episode. The second episode wouldn't have been like, dude, this is freaking hilarious.
Right.
So, absolutely. No, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, like, we can't talk enough about how good this show looks. Like, thank you, Amazon, for putting the money into the show that needed to be put into it to make it look right. Because even when they showed the exterior shot of the Pella with the doors shut, like, it looks real. And then you have to remember, they don't make anything out of metal.
Right.
Right? And so it doesn't look like metal, but it doesn't look like it's some cheap papier-mâché set either.
Yeah.
And some of that's real set. you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Emma. Thanks.
So
I'm glad that it.
yeah,
You know, thankful for Sci-Fi for taking the chance on this show in the beginning.
right.
Absolutely, but I'm glad it landed where it did.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, this turned out to be a really, really good episode. I do think it warrants 2 watches because there's a lot of little things that you don't catch. Like, you know, I caught the ring gate stuff. You caught the camera movements, like the music, like the way they do that. You know, it was just really, really quite cool.
Yeah. And again, when I like, this would be one of the better episodes for me of any other show I watch. And so when I say it's not one of my favorite episodes,
Like, this is the best episode of Star Trek ever.
yeah, it's, and that just shows you how good this season has been.
Yeah.
And again, this is better than any other episode in season 4 for me. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
So,
But
yeah, I mean, this is like the third slice of a good pizza pie.
Yeah.
That's just gotten a little bit cool, right?
Right.
You know, it's not like smoking hot anymore. But no, like if you like Star Trek Discovery, like give The Expanse a chance.
Yes.
If you haven't watched it, it is the superior science fiction show.
They're not even the same ballpark.
Well, no, but you know.
Yeah. And I thought Discovery's the first 2 seasons were decent.
I really liked the first season of Discovery.
Yeah.
Like really liked the first season of Discovery. It took me a little while to get through the second season.
Yeah.
And then I hated Lower Decks, so I canceled my CBS All Access.
I didn't know. I didn't even try to watch it.
Yeah. It was bad. It was dumb. But people like it, and that's great. Like, you know.
Yeah, if you like
I'm
it-
not telling you not to watch
Right,
it.
yeah.
I'm just saying it wasn't for me. But yeah, and so I don't know. Like I'll watch Discovery season 3 at some point. Like I don't know, I might just VPN to Netflix Europe or Netflix Canada or something and
Keep
watch
forgetting
it.
they have that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm 4.5, 4.5 out of 5 Rossies.
All I have to say is it Tuesday yet?
No, we're so close because we're recording on Friday. So
I say that all the time to you.
I
So
know.
like,
I
is it
know.
Tuesday
So-
yet?
Hey, this has been a good Friday. You came up. We got some wings.
Yeah.
We're recording. We're gonna do the WandaVision stuff. You got to buy dinner next Friday. Anyway, all right. Real quick, shout out to Matt and Julian. Thank you guys for backing us on Patreon. You guys definitely should like follow along and join. Follow their lead, if you will, and sign up because the WandaVision commentaries are going to be a lot of fun. And yeah. All right. So yeah, go watch The Expanse. Go watch WandaVision. Pick up Star Wars Squadrons. If you like playing like flight simulator games, Star Wars Squadrons is really cool. And if you have PlayStation VR and you try Squadrons, will you email me at the show? Just Brian at Infamous Podcast, and let me know what you think because I'm really considering buying the PlayStation VR to play just to play the game just for
I
Squadrons.
think that would be a kick-ass game to use that on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right. On that note, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, with new episodes out every Sunday. You can find more information about the show online at infamouspodcast.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as at Infamous Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcatching app. If you're enjoying the show, consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or check out our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast for our new tiers and rewards. The Infamous Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Brian Tudor, with music provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as at Brian Tudor. So, whenever you're listening to the show, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Later.